Okay, so we have disinformation is false information that is intentionally spread to mislead, while information misinformation is false information shared without intent to deceive. Intelligence agents have historically used both tactics to manipulate public perception and influence political outcomes. All right, so you got one, you got misinformation, and you got two, you got disinformation. Both are used by authority. Okay, check this out. Role of intelligence agents. Intelligence agents have historically utilized both disinformation and misinformation tools to manipulate public perception and influence political outcomes. These tactics can serve various purposes, including shaping public opinion by spreading disinformation. Agents can create confusion and alter the narrative surrounding specific events or policies. Influencing elections, disinformation campaigns can undermine trust in electoral processes, swaying voter behavior and public sentiment. Manipulating information. Intelligence agents' operations may involve disseminating misinformation to create a false sense of reality, impacting decision making at various levels. Historical content. The use of disinformation dates back to Cold War, where intelligence agents employed these tactics to affect foreign politics. For example, the CIA has been known to plant false stories in media outlets to influence public perception in other countries. Understanding the distinction between these two types of false information is crucial, especially in today's complex information landscape where both can spread rapidly through social media and other digital platforms. All right, we're going to go deeper on this. Stay with me. The etymology of misinformation and disinformation. The origin of the term misinformation dates back to 14th century. All right. The meaning refers to wrong or false information. Components. Prefix mis meaning bad or wrong. Root information comes from Latin informationum meaning outline or concept. Now remember this. It says Latin, right? And disinformation, the word disinformation is derived from Russian. The term disinformation, disinformation, which has been used since 1949, meaning it refers deliberately to false information spread with intent to mislead others. Now remember, I said 14th century Latin and Russian. So first off, if you're saying that I am spreading disinformation in America, if anybody accuses you of spreading disinformation, that is a Russian terminology, originated term. So therefore, they are using Russian to define you as American. So you can totally scratch that out and say, hey, are we in Russia? We don't use an American word. Use something that we can that makes sense. All right, because are you accusing me of being a Russian or a foreign spy? So that's how you have to you have to take the slander and make it make sense to them so that they can stop. All right. Now the 14th century Latin shit. Here we go. Misinformation in Italy historically been most used by political figures and parties, particularly during times of political rivalry and elections. This includes notable examples from ancient Rome, where leaders like Octavian and Mark Antony engaged in propaganda wars to manipulate public opinion. Historical use of misinformation in Italy. political figures and parties. Misinformation in Italy has been predominantly utilized, now listen, it is predominantly utilized. So the origin of the word misinformation is predominantly used by the origin was predominantly used by the originators of the word. Okay. Utilized by political figures and parties, especially during periods of political rivalry and elections. This term can be traced back to ancient Rome. All right. So we got the key figures, and this is what they did. All right. Engaged in propaganda. Octavian and Mark Antony engaged in propaganda wars to sway public opinion and gain political power. Boom. 1600s, various leaders spread disinformation, health disinformation. See, how they going to use the word disinformation? Because that's a Russian word. Misinformation, because that's Latin. During the Black Plague to manipulate public perception. All right, so let's go even further back, because what did I say? Because they wouldn't give me who created the word. I'm like, who originated the word? What? Give me the key figures that use this word. So remember in the etymology it said Latin 1400s. So I said misinformation in the 1400 Italy was historically used by who? By political figures and authorities to manipulate public perception and maintain control during crises, such as reoccurring outbreaks of bubonic plague. This often involved misreporting health information to avoid quarantine measures and economic repercussions. Okay. Meaning they didn't want people to leave. All right. Misinformation in 1400 Italy, political figures and authorities. In 1400 Italy, misinformation was primarily utilized by political figures and authorities. This manipulation aimed to control public perception and maintain authority during crisis, particularly during recurring outbreaks of bubonic plague. They said it again. Key uses of misinformation. Health and information misrepresenting authorities often misreported health data to downplay the severity of plague outbreaks. This was done to avoid the economic consequences associated with quarantine, meaning they wanted to keep the people in quarantine because the people knew that that what they were making them do was killing them even worse. Then people wouldn't do it, so they just, in order to keep control, you got to kill a lot of people. So yeah, all right. Key uses of misinformation. Health information misreporting. Authorities often misreported health data downplay. Okay, we read that. Political control. By spreading false information, leaders could maintain social order, prevent panic among populace. This tactic helped them manage the public's response to the health crisis. Impact on society. The use of misinformation during this period had significant implications for public health and governance. It shaped how communities responded to disease outbreak and influenced the development of public health policies in the long term. No, it decided who stayed in power and who made the choices. Because if people had the right information, then they would make the right choices, because that is their power. Period.